Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Nigeria is 55 today. The president did say, he did deliver his Independence Day address. And so we've got a panel of analysts and ourselves also here today to go through that speech of the president among so many things. Let me start by my left. They're both on my left, actually. Ibrahim Ogbodo is the editor of Guardian on Sunday morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
And then we'll have J.D. Ogunsowo, who is a data and information analyst. Thank you for coming on today as well.
Thank you.
And happy independence to both of you.
Same to you.
The president, interestingly, highlighted a number of issues in that speech, of which we've seen the front pages. And but I didn't see the Guardian here, so I'm wondering how the Guardian came up with their own headline. What's your impression of this speech of the president?
Well, it was straight to the point, as usual. You know, the man is a general, he's not used to long speeches. So he went straight to the point. What he was saying, emphasis on our Greek, even as he preaches change in attitude in every department of our national life. And then, for instance, he's not talking of even how much money we can get, but the emphasis should be on how much we can manage what we get. Because you can get all the money, if you fail to manage well, it doesn't add up to anything.
Is that a soundbite to some? Because, that appears to have been lost on us. As we go about our daily lives, hustle, the bustle, everybody just moving on with that. But when he says, look, we need to sit back and reflect on the significance of this day, that's very important, isn't it?
Very, very important, because, in opening, he said that we have all the ingredients to be a great nation, but we are not great. And we have everything it takes to be so great, but we are not great. And he's not asking, that is the question to actually interrogate. Why are we not a big nation, even at 55? It was the point he was making, and he said that going down, one of the things he identified, apart from maybe our attitude, which has to change, I think the one very strong point that really got me on was the point that, yes, you might be rich, you might have all the money, but how you manage the money is what actually sustains you as a rich man, as a rich person. So Nigeria has been so rich in 55 years that you could be rich and poor. And that exactly was the summary of his statement.
Sorry to butt in. In bringing that to perspective, he made mention of one great achievement for us as a people and as a country. He said, for the fact that we have gone through so many negative things, we have remained together as a people. And he drew conclusion, or his inference, from the last election, where he mentioned the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, as in his words, he said, well, Nigerians must thank former President Jonathan for not digging in the face of defeat and thereby saving the country.
Yes, I think it's a very strong point that he made. But beyond that, we have to do something to consolidate that desire to stay together, because it's almost been taken for granted, as far as I know. And if you look at it, it's about the only question in Nigeria. What should be done fundamentally for Nigeria to continue to stay together? Those questions have to be answered one way or the other. But so far, they pamper it. Yes, Nigeria should not break, Nigeria should not break. We have not elected to break because we are peace-loving. We love to be together. But in that desire to be together, what is underlying has to be strengthened. And if it is not, then of course it will come to a point when it will be threatened. We should not deceive ourselves about that.
Julia, I found it very interesting when Chamberlain said Happy Independence Day. You replied very enthusiastically, and you also did say that it's a great day. You acknowledged that it is a great day. Did the speech encapsulate that for you?
The speech did, but the speech had its upsides and it had its downsides. It's good. Let's start with the upsides of the speech. What you will find out is, if you look at the number of times the president had used the word we, it was significantly more than the number of times he had personalized the word I. So during this speech, we see the general using the word we more than he uses the word I. And if you take your mind back and you can get the whole of the script of 1983 when he came into power, he still did the same thing. He used the word we collectively emphasizing that it is really not about him. So in 1983, I had done the same thing. He used the word I only 4 times and used the word we 16 times in 1983 when he came in. 1960, Abubakar Tafawa had done the same thing, emphasizing we as a nation, emphasizing we more than I. So it's wonderful that we see today the president de-emphasizing himself, focusing on we as a nation by using the word more often than he uses the word I. Interestingly as well, if we look at 2011 when President Jonathan came in, his Independence Day speech was 10 minutes, 51 seconds. Today, the president's speech is also approximately 11 minutes. What then happened in 2012 was when President Jonathan started feeling the heat. His Independence Day speech in 2012 went into 18 minutes. Then in 2013, his independence speech went into 22 minutes, and in 2014 was also 22 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year and subsequent years.
So do you suggest he's warming up for a long speech next year?
Possibly when the heat starts coming in, he then needs to spend more time
talking.
Yeah, but looking at the content, because some people will say that you can keep on talking and you can talk for as long as you want to talk. It is the content that matters. What part of this speech would you say caught you the most?
There were 5 major agencies that the president talked about. He talked about the CBN, the FIRS, the Customs, the NCC, and the NNPC. So it clearly lets us understand the thinking of the president. In the days ahead, those are probably the 5 departments, agencies that we will find out what will go on within those areas. He also emphasized a lot on Boko Haram and Nigeria, and power as well. If the words we heard were correct, he used them, Boko Haram, about 3 times, same thing with power. So it's interesting that the president is talking about Boko Haram, the fight against Boko Haram, also looking at how we would improve within power. And one of the reasons why I think Boko Haram is extremely important is if we look between 2002, when Mohammed Yusuf launched the Boko Haram offensive, and 2014, the official death toll of deaths due to terrorism in Nigeria is 12,695. To put that in better perspective, there's a club in the English Premiership called Bournemouth. The stadium capacity is only 11,700. So in simple terms, what Boko Haram has done to Nigeria is a stadium filled with dead people. And I think that is the reason why we need to keep fighting against the war against terrorism has to be concluded quickly. We can no longer sustain that tempo of death that has historically happened. And I think based on the president's discussion, his emphasis on Boko Haram, we most likely will see an end to Boko Haram very soon.
All right, here's what we'll do. I mean, we'd like you to be a part of this as well. Yes, we may have tweeted a thing or two about it, but hey, we'd like to hear from you. Nigeria at 55 at channelstv.com. That's the email address you could get your feedback to us. Now, the thing is, not just your words it's in text format, you can send us pictures as well. Let's see. How are you celebrating this day? I see on Twitter, many are already talking about the Nigeria of their dreams, what they want to see. Let's see what you're doing today as well. Well, let's get back to this, and let me go to Mr. Ogbodo. When the president talked about we should also give credit to the former president, not digging his heels in the face of defeat, even though words filtered through at the time that call was made that not everybody wanted him to make that call at the time, but he eventually did it. Is it that we were lost in the euphoria that first we had a successful transition, non-violent one, of which the envious of many African countries, I dare say. So how significant is that for us? Are we perhaps just taking our eye off that and say, look, well, moving ahead now, what do we achieve in the future?
No, that tells so much about the character of the president, the incumbent. You know, even as he goes ahead to do all the proofs, all the noise about the previous administration, looted fund, corruption, he has not failed to use any opportunity he has had. He said so in South Africa, and he has always been saying so, that the past president did so much to keep Nigeria together. And today, he's also saying it, meaning that for Jonathan to really accept defeat and did what he did, it meant so much to Nigeria, and the current president realizes it. And it has not stopped him from doing what he should do as a president. He has been going on, and you know, at the time, people even felt, and they still feel that the past president, the past administration is being persecuted. But at every point, if credit should be given to Jonathan for what he did by allowing the transition to be so smooth, to avoid so many things, of course that credit should be given, because continentally, you know what is happening. Take the issue of Burundi. Even the signals coming from Rwanda. What is going to happen in Uganda? We are not even talking of Zimbabwe now. So this sit tightism, every African president wants to sit tight. We're not talking of what also happened in Cote d'Ivoire. He had all the powers. He had all the variables under his control. I mean President Jonathan, former President Jonathan. But he said that nothing was bigger than Nigeria. And for the life of Nigeria, he could go all the way to do what he did.